Welcome one and all to another episode of Nodnarb's Closet. I am EDAW'S, and today I have a bit of a sweetheart on the podcast. Itswhatevan.
Hey.
Itswhatevan, how are you doing today?
Good, man.
Awesome. I know that whenever I first started off, a little bit of my gush for you, and you could probably just, get off this phone call if you don't like the word gush. And it makes you feel uncomfortable. It's understandable, and I'm still going to talk about it. Whenever I first started getting into this hobby, I had no idea what gouache, or what me and Cole call squash, or oil painting was on miniatures. I never thought that was like a thing. And the thing that I kept on seeing on everybody's posts, in the background somewhere, one of your stickers would be on something of theirs. And I'm seeing like a Adepticon, there's your fucking sticker. And I'm like, I gotta get this motherfucker sticker. So that's one of the first interactions that we've had is we did a sticker swap.
Yeah, sticker swap.
And then we eventually ended up doing a Chessex challenge.
Yep.
That I took forever to send off to you.
Oh, I don't know about that. I was the one that was taking forever to do anything with it.
I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. It's not that big of a deal. I hold it against you deeply, but I won't mention that on this. No, man, I've just watched your work over I'm maybe 2 years into this, and I really appreciate it. And it's gone.
Thank you.
You did some great stuff before, but the closer we get to present day, it's like the style in a way has changed a lot to me. It's a lot more refined. Two big pieces that I will always think about whenever I'm trying to come up with something is the stag with the face.
Yeah.
Because that is, to me, probably the most horrifying thing. Like miniatures. Miniatures, to me, you intentionally make them scary to be scary. This one just unsettling. It's like, it's bothersome. And one of the main things that I watch is anything horror. But yeah, that was wild. And then,
which is funny because, sorry, I'm going to cut you off real quick. Because I don't watch horror. I can't do it. I cannot do horror at all. And so I must just take out all that anxiety or whatever in my miniature building or whatever. Because I can't.
Yeah, that's essentially your therapist? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I have to say, it's so funny that you say that. It seems like every single person I talk to, the assumption could be made that they listen to metal. Bill Ford does not listen to metal. I've talked to Bill Ford. Or that they watch horror. They do not watch horror 9 times out of 10. It's so fucking hilarious to me that this community is so diverse.
Yeah.
And you would think half the shit that you fucking made, man, is a good enough fucking reason to be scared of life in general. Which I think is great. The other one being the lumbering Hulk, or the turbine head.
Yeah.
Turbine head, hands down, it told me that I can make things that weren't intended to be a head into a head.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't I fucking think about that?
That one was really fun, and that was like a manic journey over like 2 or 3 days to get it ready for, I think, the first Smash Bash ever.
Yeah. In 2020 or 2021? I can't remember.
I want to say 21, because 23 was the third year. That was the third one, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Smash Bash, I saw that you entered. It was fun, man. I entered for the first time. I know you're good friends with all those guys. How was this year?
This year was rough. I've had a weird work year this year, where I had a bunch of time off at the beginning of the year, and then right when Smash Bash was supposed to be closing up, I got slammed with work, and then it's just been a weird work year. So I wasn't feeling motivated at all this year, not because I don't want to participate, but I just had, we talked about it a little bit when we were doing our bash and swap. I just didn't have any motivation to kit bash or do anything weird, and so it was rough for me to get it started, and I wasn't happy about the final piece. It was a lot smaller than I anticipated, so yeah. But
yeah,
you,
we all
you
go
always
through.
learn something though. Even when
Right.
even when you're struggling, you can still pull out a little bit of learning from the experience. So
Right, and I was going to get to this later, but now you brought it up. I know that a lot of people out there, including myself, run into those ruts where you just don't have anything to offer up, or you don't feel like you have anything to offer up at that moment. How do
yeah.
you kind of deal with that?
Oh, spiraling depression mostly. No,
Lexapro?
no. I think it's. I always try and take the opportunity when those things happen for me to step back from the hobby and understand that it's something that I do to relax and have fun. And sometimes when I get in those ruts, I get in this mindset where I've got to do something, and then I'm treating it like a job, and that sucks. And
Right.
so I've been working this year, especially because it's been such a weird year for work and everything, to take a step back and just allow myself to not be inspired and to chill. And sometimes when I'm not feeling inspired to chill or to kit bash or whatever, then I'll just take some stock models. So this year's been like the year of old hammer stock models for me because I just haven't had it in me to kit bash a whole lot. So
Yeah, no, I hear that. Honestly, for me, it took. I kind of understand where. I understand where you're coming from. I kind of got to the point now to where, especially after listening to the guys from Hive Scum, you don't really know that everybody has this problem all the fucking time. But the breaks in between, like I won't do something intentionally. I'll put one piece out, throw a fucking picture on Instagram, and then let it ride, and then whenever I feel good to do it again, I'll just do it again. I've put
yeah.
so much pressure on myself in the past where it's like you said, it's a job. I like producing that stuff mostly because of serotonin boost and makes me feel good about myself.
Can't
Let's just
argue
be
with
honest.
that.
Yeah, let's just be honest here. Yeah, man, I think taking big breaks is not that big of a deal. Right now, I'm working on Vestarian stuff. Have you heard anything or done anything with Vestarian?
Yeah, I've browsed all the articles on Between the Bolter and Me and been trying to keep up with stuff. I did actually kit bash
Oh,
a like 5 or 6 models for Vestarian. So yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I love how they were saying, yeah, it could be 5 to 10 models or 5 to 12, and then everybody like Bill Ford and everybody in our Grim Text group that we did last year in October, all of them were like, yeah, I'm gonna only make 5. Yeah, I'm only gonna make 6. I'm like, I'm still kit bashing, and I made 6. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna fucking stop now because I know nothing about wargaming. Like I'm
yeah.
I'm all D&D all the time.
Okay,
I love role playing stuff. The only thing that got me super into wargaming with this and wanting to learn is the narrative aspects of it,
yeah.
which is Hive someday I just talk about. How did you get into all of this? I mean, was it from childhood or?
No, I was 30 and I found going way back, I found a set of Space Marines. They used to make like smaller sets of them. So it was like from third edition, it was 5 plastic Space Marines. I found
Mm,
them at Goodwill, a
yes,
charity
sure.
shop, thrift shop, for 99 cents. And so I sat on those for years and never did anything with them, but I knew what they were because I've been involved in the gaming world since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Video games and then card games was a big thing for me in middle school and high school. And then Dawn of War, the Warhammer PC game, that's what got me introduced to the whole Warhammer scene in high school. And so then it wasn't until years later, when I was 30, 7 years ago, that I started painting with
Well, we're the
crafts.
same age, so I get it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I started a little bit later. I was 34, 35.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, have you played? Did you play D&D as a kid whatsoever?
No, the Satanic Panic was real in my house. I wasn't allowed to play Magic the Gathering, D&D, any of that stuff. So I started playing D&D 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my only experience with role-playing games. I'd really like to be a more well-versed role player, get into different systems and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. I've only started to dabble into more board, only because I've been looking at this shit for like the past couple of years. That was the other thing that kind of inspired me to start. But nobody around knew about it, and nobody wanted to try something new because I'm in bumfuck church capital of Texas, Abilene, right now, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, we just play Warhammer," and I'm like, "Okay, that's great." This is very close-minded of you, but all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the role-playing aspect of it has always been fun to me. I
Yeah.
was in a similar house where my parents were uber religious, and it was only because of their best friends that they allowed us to play D&D.
Oh,
We
that's
played
cool.
with my friends, but since I was like 10 years old, then I stopped there for a long time and picked it back up in my late 20s, early 30s.
So if you were playing when you were 10, would that have been second edition that you would have been playing? Like,
So I think that's right, 10 to 12. So it was right whenever third edition came out, I believe.
oh, okay.
Like right whenever it could come out. Maybe I'm off by a year or so, but yeah, whenever I first started, was it 2.5? Okay, it says 2000. So yeah, I was okay. I was about 14 whenever I fucking.
Oh,
I
okay.
get it.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Evan. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No,
Hey,
you're welcome.
anybody else that used to listen to this podcast, just know that I lie about everything and that I will never tell the truth. I will never tell the truth. I
that
promise you that.
that's
Or is that a
that's
lie?
what I get for asking questions.
Yeah. God, could you stop fucking doing that? Yeah. So around 14, 15, we must have dabbled in second edition beforehand.
Okay.
Because right around, I remember whenever Neverwinter Nights came out
Oh
and
man, taking me
online,
back.
and it was like everybody's losing their fucking minds. Of course, the Baldur's Gate games, I played those as a kid.
I went
Um,
back recently to play the Neverwinter Nights, and
uh,
I don't want to say it was unplayable, but it was definitely not what I
it's a
definitely
bit
not what I
clunky.
remembered. Yeah.
It's a bit clunky.
Yeah.
I will say, every time I look at those and I see they're like Baldur's Gate, been revamped and redone, and it looks so much better. And then I look at the previews and I'm like, God, fucking shit. This looks awful. Um, which that's why I always go back to Baldur's Gate 3 now. I
Yeah.
think I've put like 300 hours into that.
Man, I have yet to get started in it. That and Elden Ring. Two big games that I just haven't had time to get into yet.
Yeah, Elden Ring. Um, so Baldur's Gate 3, we'll start on that. Baldur's Gate 3 is whenever I've started and finished it, I put in collectively 200 hours. I then played with my buddies for a little bit, and 75% of the stuff that we did, I hadn't seen before.
Oh
And I
man,
had already played once through. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
that's
But
very cool.
yeah, it's a massive game. It's stupid. Elden Ring. I learned patience through that game. I learned that in Binding of Isaac. You die so much that or at least for me, my personality, I can be heated at times. Or old Brandon used to be like that, but it definitely teaches you patience. Like I
Yeah,
would die, and then I'd be like, "All right, let's try again. Let's try
yeah,
again. Let's try
yeah.
again." It's definitely the amount of time you spend on it is because you're dying so much.
Right. Well,
But it is a gorgeous game.
yeah. I put probably 2,000 hours into Dark Souls 1. And so yeah, yeah. So that was my jam. And I think that came out around the same time as Skyrim. So a lot of people have really strong memories of Skyrim. I've never
Yeah.
even played Skyrim. I was spending all my time playing Dark Souls 1.
Well, why would you?
Yeah, yeah.
I bought the
That's what I
trilogy.
that's what I told them. That's what I said.
Yeah, like why would you even waste your time? Here's my thing. I like Skyrim. I liked it back then, but I'm not picking it up again anytime soon or ever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But I could go back to Elden Ring at any point and play that, and it'd probably be a learning curve again. But I'd still enjoy myself. I just think the art, our community especially, it's clear that that is heavily influenced in a lot of artwork,
Yep.
and there's a reason why. And hopefully that doesn't like get its own stereotype later on, like, oh, everybody's trying to do Elden Ring.
Right.
Kind of sucks, but that little tinge of it is always welcome. I'm always welcome to that. But
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that about, maybe sometime in the future people will be like, oh, they're just trying to copy this or whatever. In the wargaming scene, I was just recently talking to my friend Gage about it, and how the wargaming, like, well, not the wargaming scene, well, the wargaming scene, but then more specifically, like the Inquisitor 28 or the Blanchitsu or whatever you want to call it, the Grimdark niche
yeah,
thing, uh, goes through waves where there's like spearheaders for a certain phase, and then they kind of either start having kids or move on or stop getting as involved with the hobby, their blog shuts down, and then a new wave starts. And it's fun being in it. I mean, only for 7 years I can look back to like 2016 and see like the group that was spearheading everything and looking at where they're at now, and then the new crew that's come in, and it's very
yeah.
fun.
I think so too. I mean, it adds a fresh perspective to a lot of things and doesn't keep us all. Because let's be honest, like 99% of the like inspiration that comes whenever you're doing this hobby, I feel like comes from looking at other people's artwork,
Yeah.
or like whether it be painting, or like I just picked up Vermis 2,
Hmm.
which I'm reading, and I'm like, dude, I already got like a million things on the top of my head. One of which is a fucking stag with a goddamn face that looks like he's gonna haunt my fucking soul. Uh, it looks like straight from that book. I would rather it be like that than see the same people doing the same shit
Yeah.
all the time.
A
And I
hundred
think
percent.
people get caught up in doing that same style all the time.
Mhm.
The other thing going into this is that I wanted to talk about. I'm fairly new to the squash and oil game right now, but
Mhm.
after doing it, I don't ever foresee me going back to my acrylic paints. Like I have I forget what the name of that company is. The to go box where you bring all your paint with you, and
Oh,
it's like a
Frontline?
suitcase.
Frontline
Yeah,
Gaming?
Foundation or front. I think it's Foundation.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it might be Frontline. It's the wooden boxes that have all the trays and shit.
Yeah.
Um, and I bought that, and I probably have like $400 worth of paint in there
Yeah.
that I'm probably never going to use again.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I really don't see, and not to say that I just don't want to use acrylic paint anymore, man.
I use it infrequently for like my base rims, so that's about it. I've got my high elf project right now, and I'm using that for the. Yep.
That's what I use,
Yep.
and that's one piece of acrylic paint that is on my desk, on the top of my desk,
Yep.
and there's
Yeah.
no other acrylic paint.
I've got a big old tub of acrylic paint, and my brother is actually interested in the mini hobby, so I'm gonna take that whole tub and just give it to him.
I was thinking too, like, of getting rid of all this stuff and just mailing it out to somebody.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do use like the Goblin Hut stuff, whether
Mhm.
it be Rust or Verdigris, but like most of the shit I don't use whatsoever. And
Yeah.
I got inks in there that I'm like, I'm never gonna use this.
Yeah.
There's no reason to use this.
So you've
Um,
really been enjoying the. So you're still using the gouache underlayer and then the oils over top.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you your method, because it seems like where you're going is the layers and layers and layers of oil,
Mhm.
like the watered
Yeah.
down oil.
Yeah. So I tried it out because I was talking to Matt. Most of all my good ideas come from Matt, pretty much. Totally not panicking.
Yeah.
I get excited when I see him post stuff when he's really good at experimenting with mediums and all that. So he posted something about, he just put some washes over something. I messaged him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just over a Zenithal Prime," and it blew my mind. So I tried it on my Elf army, and now I'm back to doing that, just pure oils, and they're kind of like, I mean, if you if you use contrast paints, if you're listening to this, you use contrast paints, you can do the same thing with oils, and it's 10,000% more versatile. You get a lot of really interesting interactions between the colors, and I mean, it takes longer to dry. It takes like 4 or 5 days for it to dry, but it's
Yeah.
it's fantastic. I love it.
And I'm probably gonna experiment on something soon. I did that with one of mine, but I got sidetracked because of Vestarian. But I'll end up doing the layers of oil. It's funny because Cole was like, "Hey man, you can do oil, but it takes forever to fucking dry." And because I use squash and oil, it doesn't. Right?
Yeah.
I throw like I know that Gage doesn't like clear coats over things, but I use a clear coat over it. It dries perfectly fine. It looks
Yeah.
good. But yeah. Currently, right now, I'm still using squash. It
Nice.
is difficult though. I keep running into a block to where I don't know what colors to use. I'm constantly beating the shit out of myself about what colors to use because I like certain parts being vibrant, but
Hmm.
there's times where I'm just like, I just want this to look dirty.
Yeah.
I just want it to look dirty as fuck, and I don't want there to be a lot of interaction besides those key spots for lighting.
Hmm. Yeah. Clothing. Yeah. That's. I agree, and I would get frustrated. I don't repaint stuff. So if I paint something I don't like, I finish it and then I put it in the shelf and I try to ignore it best I can. But I won't strip it and repaint it just because
Yeah.
I like having reminders of things that I didn't like, because typically if I let it sit there and come back to it, I'm like, what didn't I like about this? This is fine. Or I still hate it and it reminds me to not do something in the future. But with what's really funny with the clothing and everything that you're talking about is I would paint stuff and it would be it wouldn't work, or I would think, oh, I'm just painting everything like brown or something.
Yeah.
I go in with the wash and then do the highlights like you're talking about, just trying to pick out those just I don't know how to say it. I'm not a technical guy, but just making the highlights make different things pop. And then by
Yeah.
the time it all dries, it looks fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles to get over with gouache and oils, or just oils, is the way that a model can look when it's wet to when it's dry can
Oh
be
my god. Yeah.
1,000% different. So
I've literally gone to bed at midnight. I've been working on this thing for 3 hours. I think I'm like, man, I'm hitting it on this one. And
yeah.
I get to the very end and I'm like, this looks like dog shit. I can't believe I stayed up 4 hours to fucking do this piece of shit. And then I wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? What
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, oil's tricky like that, man.
Yeah.
Especially that shine. That shine is always the thing that really pisses me off. And I know that like the clear coat's gonna clear all that up
Yeah.
eventually anyways, but I'm like, God, this looks like it's just muddy. It
Yeah.
looks like I just threw this in the water outside. Like, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, so you don't like horror movies.
No.
Where do you pull? Wait a second. We have to ask this question because if I go through this entire thing, like I did with Bill, and you told me you don't like metal music either. Do you not listen to metal?
I
Because
do
if you
listen.
don't, okay, thank
I do
God.
listen to metal, but I never look up the lyrics, so I never understand what they're talking about. So
Fair.
I, so
Or you'd
I,
stop listening.
yeah, I'm probably just about the worst person when it comes to music. Like, I'll listen to something that somebody recommends to me, but like I never look up the lyrics. I don't know what the heck they're saying. Like,
Yeah.
but my big jam right now is something that Gage turned me on to. Is he calls it hard style, and I think people are calling it up tempo hardcore or something now. But it's like Little Texas, cryogenic, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was listening to it. That music is like the right side of like harsh noise projects for me, where when I paint, I'm really chaotic, and it's just I don't really have a system for it, and that music helps me get in the zone for that kind of mindset. So,
Did you say Little Texas?
yeah, Lil Texas,
Oh my god.
LIL Texas.
Why not, right? Why the fuck not? I'm gonna look them up. But if you do like hardcore whatsoever, if you don't know of Spy, that's one of my favorite hardcore bands right now. And of course,
Spy.
yeah, SPY. Probably
So
on Spotify, it's S.P.Y.
okay, when I listen to hardcore, I pretty much just in Spotify I just say Minor Threat or sounds like Minor Threat. That's pretty much
Yeah,
what I do.
yeah, yeah. No, good. I mean, that's the best way to go about it. Okay, so you listen to metal music. What is really that? I'm trying to find out what is the inspiration behind some of the shit that you do. Do you just think like because it's not like going into something and going, I just want to make this look weird. That's not satisfactory to like actually making this fucking terrifying elf. Uh, what's the thing?
um, that is a honestly really good question, and I don't know if I have a good answer for you.
It's the same as Bill.
Yeah. So honestly, a lot of it is probably like Ghibli stuff. I
Yeah,
watch a lot of Ghibli movies because my kids, when I got into the hobby, they were a lot younger. They're in high school now, or almost high school, both of my
yeah.
older kids. But my youngest daughter, who's 2, she has been watching Ponyo and Totoro, but I mean, like the face stag thing. That was just me messing around making a grimdark like Ghibli thing
Yeah.
from Princess Mononoke. And then I just recently went and watched Boy and the Heron, and there's just a lot of weird stuff in that I,
Yeah.
like if you think about like a grimdark version of any of that stuff, it's pretty terrifying. So I, a
Except for
lot of
the parrots. The
yeah.
parrots are the only thing, or the parakeets or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Why are
Yeah.
these?
I told my wife when we got back from it. She's like, "What did you think?" I was like, "Oh, it's great." And you will have nightmares about birds after that movie.
Yeah, especially the fucking heron. The only thing I wish would have happened was that the heron would have stayed a heron.
Yeah.
Or like that mutated version of it where his nose is coming out. I just
Right.
wish that would have stayed like that the whole time. But I know it wouldn't have been a Studio Ghibli movie if they didn't take the goofiness out of it.
I mean, Instagram is a big place too. Like just seeing what other people are working on. Nausicaa is always. I in middle school I read the Nausicaa manga, and that was probably to this day mixing fantasy and like futuristic elements is just anything that does that is a big inspiration for me. So
Yeah, especially a lot of anime. I know like anime manga. That's where I'm pulling a lot of my sources from. But like the Junji Ito is
yeah,
where I get a lot of my the stuff that I fucking love to make. Um,
I read one compilation and Uzumaki, and I could barely finish them. They were so scary.
yeah, that's so funny to me, man. I never in a million years. That's so crazy. Because I like maybe that's the reason why It takes me a little bit to get inspiration is because I'm like I've already seen it all.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen fucking body parts, things ripped off. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what?
and going back to Dark Souls, like all the body horror in Dark Souls is
Oh my
obviously a huge inspiration as
God.
well.
Yeah, but yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like even the dragons in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't.
and that's what I love about when I see something like I'm going to talk about Dark Souls, but just as like a example, because they
Yeah,
call them dragons, but then you go and see the gaping dragon. You don't think like you would never have in a million years when somebody said, "Oh, it's there, you fight a dragon in the sewer." Like you wouldn't imagine that kind of a dragon. So taking these really normal like stereotypes like a dragon and changing them into something horrific is
yeah.
great. I love that kind of stuff.
Hey man, whenever it comes down to it, a really good friend of mine just introduced me to a book of role playing dragons, and they look nothing like the stereotype. For the longest, and still even to this day, if I see a dragon on the screen and it has to do with D&D, I'm like, this is fucking boring. I don't like.
Yeah,
Oh, there's a red and black one and a green one. Are they fucking Power Rangers? Like
yeah,
I don't need to see the same thing. It's not terrifying to me.
yeah,
They just look like cartoons. I don't like.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you so wholeheartedly. Like, if somebody could just, like the dragon you just did with your oil washes,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
the mount that mount that you have, even that goes away from the stereotype a little bit. Like
yeah.
even introducing like the Chinese style dragons
Hmm.
into this world. Like, why is it always those specific types that it's just so fucking boring? Like
Yeah.
I've had people go, they're the ultimate evil, and I'm like, they don't fucking look evil. They look pretty. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and there's some good things to that, but it's just for me, it's boring as shit. Except for in
Re-
the D&D movie, the Black Dragon that was shooting all that acid over the battlefield was pretty dope.
I haven't
I'll say
seen
that.
that one yet.
It's
I've
pretty
heard good
good.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it's
heard
not
good
bad.
things about it.
It's nice whenever you're a D&D fan since 14, not 10. Thanks. Uh, and you can watch a movie that about D&D that's actually good, because we're at the same age where whenever the first D&D movie came out, I got
Yeah.
to see it in theater.
Oh, yeah.
And as a kid, even as a kid, I was like, "What the fuck is this? This is awful." It was terrible,
Oh, that's funny.
and I never wanted to watch it again.
Yeah. We usually
I
have pretty strong memories of those movies, even if they're bad. But to say that it was bad when you were 10 or 14, that's pretty brutal.
That's pretty bad. I would love to do like a watch along party on one of these sometime. To just watch it with people I've interviewed in the past, which will probably
Yeah.
hit up you, Cole, and a bunch of other people. But
Yeah.
of watching that fucking movie and just sitting back and just like fucking losing our shit to it. Because I know now if I watched it, and they had to fucking ruin Jeremy Irons. You can't do that. Jeremy Irons is a fucking legend. Like, how are you gonna get him involved in this? This is a fucking travesty. But do you like competition in this arena?
Hmm.
Like this hobby itself?
I do like
Well,
competition. I think I think the reason that I'm hesitant to like competition is because a lot of the competitions I see are about who can paint like
GW better?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's why I really enjoy Smash Bash and all the different like the Simpso Shield Slam was rad
Hmm.
because I mean the goal behind it was just get people sculpting. It was that was
Yeah.
it. The Hill Giant competition was great. Like just when I think competitions are really cool when they inspire people to do something outside of their comfort zone, to learn something new, and obviously, a heavy metal style painting competition does that as well. But I think
Yeah.
it kind of pushes people, it funnels people in a specific direction, and I don't really care as much for that. It's awesome. The people that are involved are amazing painters, but it just doesn't speak to me. So
yeah, and I think, I mean, the main artist that I love as far as painting on paper is definitely our boy Martin McCoy.
yeah.
I have this Fishman painting above my monitor that I'm looking at right now. I love that stuff, right? But
Mm-hmm.
whenever it comes down to it, like in our arena of things, competition, like even you would know playing D&D or the time that you have, D&D is not competitive. So
Yeah.
I was always pushed away from these like Warhammer and stuff like that because I'm like the least competitive person ever. But I think healthy competition like Smash Bash and things like that are
Mm-hmm.
pretty fucking dope. But I
Yeah.
don't think anybody's worried about the competition portion of it as much,
No.
like as like Golden Demon and I just those guys are very talented. I have no desire to ever be like them though.
Yeah.
In that part of the hobby. The pretty painting is dope. Like I shared something the other day, I forget who it was. It was Best Four Minis, I think, that had that uh, one where he's like a dude's like channeling energy to release these like monsters or ghosts or apparitions out of this painting. And it's gorgeous, right?
Huh.
But I would never want to do that.
Yeah. So like as a follow up to what you're saying, I like to game, and if I'm gonna be spending 20 hours on a model, that just that's insane amount of time. I can't do
I don't.
that.
I have no fucking desire. Like
I'll be gaming in my 80s with my fully painted army. So
oh my god, it pisses me off. I'm just like
yeah.
the idea. Yeah, now I can crank them out to where I can paint a model in a night,
Yeah.
like with gouache or squash and oils.
Yeah.
But and I'm sure I could still do it with acrylic. I just don't want to. But yeah, spending 20 hours.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. I mean, I love that you can do that. But if you're staying up and waking up like early to finish this so that you can commission out to somebody, good
Yeah.
for you, man.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
That's why I only sell finished models. Like commissions are cool. I would love to do one, but um, you always run the risk of somebody not liking what you did for them or whatever.
I can
Um,
safely say that I would never be interested in doing a commission. 100%.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
I mean, it's one way or the other. Yeah, I get
right.
that because it seems like because my wife Liz, she's really artistic and she does a lot of great things. And I'm like, hey, why don't you do this and you put up a little shop? She's like, that's a job and I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a job. It doesn't bother me because
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ramp my shit up like 100%
Right.
and then show them. I want it to be something that they look at every day and go, man, that's fucking dope. Not something that they forget like years down the road
Right.
and
Yeah.
then just throw in the box.
I am not an entrepreneur. I am not good at making money. I don't know the first thing about it, and it all just stresses me out. So I'm.
Yeah. Well, I'm not about making money either. I put out pro Palestine EDAW'S sticker. Two ads for that in the past week, and Cole was like, "Hey man, you didn't get any hits on that first one? No big deal. Just put it out at 8:30. 8:30 2 days from now." I did that. It's been up there all day, and nobody's answered to it. So I'm like, "All right, well, I'll externate that fucking idea. Nobody wants to be controversial. It's okay. No big deal.
I,
I guess I won't do that one."
I
But
don't, I don't think I
yeah,
saw that one.
yeah, I put it up in stories. I should have put it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just funny to me that I put up something twice and it was like, maybe they'll hit this time, and the second time was even less like interest whatsoever. I'm like, God.
Yeah, you can thank the
Uh,
algorithm for that.
yeah, fuck the algorithm.
Yeah.
And Instagram. We need something made by us for us. to like get into this, but then you'd get all the people that don't know about the hobby, not into the hobby. Because I have a few fans that are just, they don't do it at all. Have there been any special collabs that you've done with people that you enjoyed?
So I went to Under the Dice Fest a few years ago, a couple years ago, 2 years ago, and Renzo goes by _Q minis. I think it's one _Q minis on Instagram, and then Colsifer _28. We were the away team because we were the three that were visiting from out of state. And after that, we did a bash and swap where one person bashed a model, sent it to the next person, that person painted it, and then they sent it to their final recipient. And we did that in a big old circle with the three of us. Cool. Yeah, that was really neat because there was this cool away team vibe from all three of us being out of towners. All the models were super sick, and yeah, it was really fun. So that was a good one. Most of mine are just bash and swaps.
I love it, man.
Yeah, because you and I did the bash and swap that was super sick. I love the Chessex method. You just shove a bunch of bits inside a Chessex container and send it off.
It can be difficult, but yes.
Yeah.
Especially with metal.
Yeah. I sent you some metal models, didn't I?
Yeah, that's part of that metal long-faced orc. The body is of the crabman.
Oh,
that you thrown in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was my first time fucking around with metal, even though I bought tons of metal models. I haven't had the courage to mess with them until I did the one from you.
Yeah.
And I was like, nothing is fucking sticking to this motherfucker. I'm not going to be able to. What is green stuff doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many. Like, my first one ever was with Brian Rue, who runs the Slug Wizard stuff. He sent me this really cool model that he modeled after some Moebius comics called the Incal.
Oh, shit.
Or Moebius or Jodorowsky. I think maybe it's Jodorowsky. Anyways,
dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. I actually commissioned Matt for a rat spike. I sent him a rat spike model that he painted up for me. Kit bash the base. It looks amazing. I've never posted it. He posted it, and then I'm horrible at posting stuff when people give stuff to me. But yeah.
Speaking of which, I got to do after this. Now that you reminded me, since you didn't take pictures, I'm going to take pictures of the one that you sent me, and I'll link it to this story. Yeah, man, I used your model that you painted for me in Mordheim whenever we were down there for Grimtex in Austin.
Nice.
This past year, and then I think we're planning on doing another one this year. And I know a top secret event is happening for a lot of people towards the end of the year. I can't talk about it. We can talk about it afterwards, but we can't talk about it on here. For those two people that are watching this right now. But yeah, man, I think that's the most fun. I've always hit up people for collaborations. I just think it's a blast to do, especially with things that whenever you have somebody that knows the direction that they're going or doesn't even know the direction they're going, but they have the creative mindset behind it. It's just cool to see what people come up with.
Yeah.
Is there any events that you're going to this year?
Oh yeah, baby. I'm going to Nemo, and I'm going to Adepticon. I'm hoping if there's something going on this summer, or if there's some secret events going on, that I might end up going to those.
Yeah, no, for sure. That would be awesome, man. I could finally meet you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Are you going to Adepticon or Nemo this year? I can't remember.
No, I got some family stuff going on for Adepticon. No, the plan is, so like I said, I'm in the military. The plan is wherever I go next, because I should be leaving this fucking hellhole soon. Wherever this fucking place sucks. Any of you that think Texas is the best state, you go fuck yourself. I don't like you. No,
I've never been under the impression that Texas is the best state.
It's definitely not. And all the people from Grimtex actually agree with me, so
Okay, perfect.
that's the only opinions that I care about. And I'm sorry for any other Texas people. Whataburger is not good. It's soggy. Fuck off. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. Oh yeah, I do plan on going to Adepticon next year, no matter what. Yeah, I have to go. If not to just meet everybody, but also to buy a shit ton of models.
Yep.
I already have enough, way too fucking much. But I'm like, what's a couple more? Because everything I buy now, I look at it and I go, I'm just gonna clip this apart. I'm not gonna use this. I'm not gonna use model as this. Now that I'm in kit bashing, as soon as a whole model case comes in, I'm like, clip, 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 clip.
Yeah.
I don't need this arm. I don't need this head. But I would love to go for that. But if there is something towards the end of the year that I can go to, for sure, fucking gonna go to it because
hell yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be great. That thing that I don't know about. But we're getting into a time frame right now because this is generally trying to keep it to be an hour, where we're gonna go into kindness corner. Barrett, if you could you place Rudy Giuliani enjoying a nice bag of human fertilizer while sitting in a Adam West style vat of acid with a smile on his face?
Smile only.
Specifically, Rudy Giuliani with some stuff trailing off him. That would be great. So, getting into kindness corner, Evan, has there been something or that's happened in the hobby, someone or a community that's kind of done like a nice thing or really blown you away with? Because I know that this community is like the most fucking welcoming. I feel like I'm back in a band again. Like everybody's nice to each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's cool as fuck. Has there been one of those moments that you're like, yeah, I got to keep on doing this shit because this is amazing?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many. It's gonna be hard to nail it down to just one.
Well, we got 8 minutes left, so
okay. Well, I'll do something. So my first year at Adepticon, and this is gonna seem like an obvious one, but this was really impactful for me. I don't make friends easy. Friend making doesn't come easy to me. And my first year at Adepticon, I ended up meeting the Hive Scum guys. Before they were Hive Scum. I knew Hive Scum before they were cool.
yeah.
But I introduced myself, hit up a conversation with a couple of them, and they were just so welcoming and friendly, and then I mean, the rest is history. Like we just hit it off, and we started a Discord, and Gage started a Discord, and just stayed in touch, and really close friends now.
It's great. I think that that group brings a lot of people in. I mean, I was gonna definitely had to bring you on because every other sentence involves your name coming out of their mouths at one point every episode. I think I'm gonna start a drinking game based off of that. I know a couple of members of Straight Edge, so they probably won't do it, but your name comes up quite a bit. Cole's comes up quite a bit. I've known you for a little bit. I think that I never really give my opinion on the kindness corner. I always try and pull other people, and usually they're stumped or too humble. Usually it's because they're too humble to bring anything else up. But I do love this community so much. I don't know that I'll ever not be a part of this community. It's so funny, like looking back and seeing your parents. I don't know if it's the same with you, but everybody was very serious and they do dad things and they do. And I have a couple kids of myself. We're doing shit that they would have never done. At least my parents would have never done. And I think it's cool because there's more outreach in this community than most communities out there that I've seen, which is pretty neat. So yeah, that's big thing with this podcast is really bringing light on a lot of people that and would normally never be into this type of thing, but seeing what they could do if they wanted to enjoy this type of hobby.
I'm gonna lose sleep tonight because I'm going to think of somebody that I had a really meaningful experience with, and it's gonna be too late. And
yeah, it's gonna be too late. They're gonna write you off.
Yeah.
They're never gonna talk about you ever again.
Yeah.
They're gonna be hurt, and I'm pretty positive it's all over for you, man.
Yeah, that's it. I had my run. It's over now.
It's a good run, bro.
Yeah,
it's a good run.
I was gonna make a tax joke, but I don't know anything about taxes, so.
Yeah. This is a write-off.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna make
forgetting a friend.
Yeah, I was gonna make some joke about the Evan tax ending, but I don't know anything about taxes, like, so it's.
Well, if you thought that far into it. In the next two shows, I'm going to have White Tiger on.
Nice.
February 24th. He's been good to banter back and forth with. He's a really good guy. Can't wait for that one.
Absolute
and
legend.
Then, yeah, he's cool as fuck. I know that he just went over to the East Coast to go hang out with the Hive Scum guys. And then Howling Mad looping in March. I love the dude. He's my little French baby girl, and I love him. He can sit on my lap anytime, and that is only if he consents. He's a wonder to be around. Hey man, thank you very much for agreeing to this kind of last second ish, and fit me in before you go on a trip. I really appreciate it. And for anybody out there, do you want to lay down any plugs, anything you're working on?
Oh, there's still mechs available. You can get them at Under the Dice, Big Cartel. I love Cole a lot, and Matt, and the Hive Scum guys. Yeah, I mean, there's no really better way to end a podcast than just say, I love Cole.
Yeah, I love Cole. I think we should make stickers now. We'll collab on a sticker. I love Cole.
I love Cole.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. I think he might be watching right now.
Oh man, that would be great.
He's a tasty treat.
I'm glad I didn't know. I'd be really self-conscious.
Oh god, especially around him. I know.
Yeah.
You know how dashing that man is?
Oh
how does he pull off that haircut? I couldn't fucking do that.
Yeah,
He's just
a beautiful human being.
In general, just gorgeous. First guest I ever had. I ever had on this podcast. Our interview went well. Although I didn't find my voice yet, I was very controversial. And don't look back at that episode. Thank you very much. I was trying to do the whole personality, but it's not funny. Fuck off. I can't pull it off. Some people can, some people can't. And I sucked at it.
Always learning, right?
We're always learning. All right, man. Thank you very much for your time. If you don't mind, stand by for a couple seconds afterwards so your video can fully upload. We love you guys all here. Join us back next month for February 24th, White Tiger.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. This is Barrett from the ATI podcast. Each week, Josh and I discuss current events, pop culture, music, TV, movies, politics, sports. Nothing is out of bounds. You can also tune in to learn about rising artists, small businesses. Whether it's music, graphic design, filmmaking, or even a brick-and-mortar mom-and-pop shop, we will be spotlighting folks and their endeavors. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Anchor, or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. Just search ATI Podcast. We would like to thank you for your continued support, and as always, please stay safe out there.
Hey, this is Josh from ATI Podcast. For show updates and news about the podcast, follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ATI Podcast 22, on Twitter at podcast_ATI, on Instagram at The ATI Podcast on TikTok at ATI Podcast. DMs are always welcome. Have a question for the show? You can always email us at atipodcastquestions@gmail.com. Stay safe out there.